Gospel of Matthew and the Gospel of Luke. So, kiddos, your lesson today is going to actually be the exact same lesson that we're going to be doing over here. So, you know what I'd like to do? After church today, I want you to kind of ask questions from any of the adults to see if they're paying attention. Because y'all know all the answers. Capiche? All right. Well, guys, those that are going to go help with the kids' wing, go ahead. And you guys go ahead and they've planned out some cool games, some fun activities for y'all with y'all's lesson. Y'all take care. Everybody tell them bye.
Bye.
See ya. Now we can have fun. I'm joking.
It's like, see ya.
Now, that scripture, seeing it in a video, helped it come alive to me. To actually seeing it happen in that way, it really brought it to life. Mm-hmm. Today, the title of my sermon is God Asleep? Have any of you ever been afraid?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I have. I have been afraid. And that's the topic we're going to be discussing today. What do you do when you're afraid? And we're going to look at these particular scriptures to find out how do we move from here in our life to here in our life. How can we progress? How can things get better in our lives? So, the first point that I want to make, well, if you have your Bible, you go to Mark chapter 4, verse 35. Mark chapter 4, verse 35. The first point that I'd like to make today is that, did you notice in that video, it said that Jesus commanded them to go over to the other side. Jesus commanded them to go to the other side. Jesus, when he got into that boat, knew that they were going to get to where they needed to go. And he told his disciples, hey guys, we're leaving this point of our place and we're going to a new destiny. We're going to a new destination. And he went to sleep. He relaxed. But as many times in our life, a storm arose. Opposition came. It wasn't smooth sailing. How many times do you know in your life is not always smooth sailing? Something always comes up. Jesus looks at us and says, Jeanette, I have a place for you to go. I have a destiny for your life. And I want to travel with you like I traveled with the disciples to go from this part of your life to over here. I want to experience life with you. Look ahead. We're going over there with our life. You want to get debt free? Yep. You'll take word. You're going to have to start cutting expenses, but I want to walk with you in that. You want to improve your marriage? Great. Let's go that way. I will walk with you. You can't treat her like that anymore. You better treat her with respect. But I will walk with you. We'll get there. He wants you to go from one place in your life to another. He does not want you to be stuck where you always are. And just like in this scene, Jesus has a destination for you. You were created for a purpose. You see, Jesus did not just willy-nilly tell these disciples to get in the boat and let's go somewhere. He had a plan. How do you know that, David? How do you know he had a plan? In all three accounts of this story, the very next event that happened was Jesus setting the demoniac guy free. No, do you remember where Jesus comes and meets this man and goes, what's your name? And he goes, Legion, because there's so many demons inside of us. You remember that? That's the next story in all three accounts. Jesus knew he had to take his disciples from here over there to set that man free. Same way with your life, guys. Same way with your life. He looks at you and says, there are people we're going to go minister to, and I want you to come along with me and help set other people free. First thing we have to do, though, is we have to get in the boat. We have to get in the boat with Jesus. We have to start that relationship with Jesus, or we're forever going to be the same place in our life. Our life can never improve without the help of Jesus. We have to get in the boat with him. You have to get in the boat. You have a destination. And Jesus wants to walk with you with it. Jesus wants to be in your boat. He wants to travel your life with you. Get in the boat. Get in the boat. But be prepared. Once you start your life with Jesus, it's not going to always be smooth sailing. Just like here, a storm comes. Life hits us, and it's not fun, is it? Life hits us, and it's not fun. Sometimes we experience failures. Y'all know my story. My wife and I, our marriage was this close from divorce. My addictions completely ridiculed my life. I was riddled because of my addictions. Storms come. Sometimes your finances get hit hard. This week alone, y'all know I just got a truck. I had a wreck yesterday. Life hits. Mine was pretty good. Life hurts.
Yeah.
Storms come, but you cannot let a storm in your life keep you from your destination.
Amen.
You have Jesus on your side. Because Jesus is in the boat with you, you can make it to the other side.
Yes.
Your life can get better. Your marriage can be saved. Your finances can be improved. Your healing can happen because of Jesus. Next point I'd like to make. In verse 38, it says, Jesus was in the storm, sleeping on a cushion. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. You see, Jesus, when he walked this world, experienced life just like we experience. That's the cool thing about our God. Jesus experienced everything we've gone through. The Bible tells us that we have a high priest who can sympathize with us. He experienced the trials. He experienced when people didn't treat him right. He had people betray him. He had people talk down about him. He had people who would ostracize him. He had people who were going to kill him, who eventually did kill him. Jesus experienced everything we experienced. He knew what it was like to be hungry. Here, Jesus was tired. I get tired. I get tired. I get tired a lot, actually, especially the older I get. I notice that. I used to go forever. Now I'm like, oh, it's 11 o'clock. But Jesus was tired. So he lays down. He takes a nap. And once he took a nap, the storm came. You saw in the video how the boat was rocking. And these guys were terrified. Do you know what's amazing about that? Is we know for sure that at least 4 of his disciples were experienced fishermen. They grew up on that particular sea. These storms were nothing new for them. And yet there must have been something so horrible about this storm that even they were afraid. And Jesus was asleep. Jesus was asleep. Could you imagine having that kind of a peace in the storm? Jesus knew that God was ultimately in control. He knew that God said, we're going over there, I have work for you to do. He wasn't rocked by storms. The disciples, though, didn't know that. Because of it, they experienced complete fear. Complete fear. So much, I love it, because I relate to the disciples here. So much that when it happened, did you see what the disciples said? Let's look at that verse. Teacher, everybody read that with me. Don't you care? Don't you care? I hate to admit that there have been times in my life, even with Tim's to yesterday, that when life hits, when the storms come, when bad things happen to me, sometimes my first inclination is, God, really? Don't you care? Don't you see what I'm doing? Is that your first inclination? Don't you even care, God, that I had a wreck? Don't you even care? Don't you even care that now our finances are going to take a bigger hit? Don't you care? Or don't you care, God, that I'm trying to work so hard for you and she's acting like that? I'm not talking about Heather, please. You're not talking about Heather, if you watch online, I love you. No, Heather. You're safe. I'm saying, yeah. You got my back, right, Dave? But don't you care? Don't we find ourselves a lot of times? That's one of our first inclinations when something bad happens. We get that report from the doctor. God, don't you even care? I've tried to serve you for 25 years, and now I get this doctor report? Really? Yeah. That's what I love about the Bible. The Bible is real. Because these men, the ones who are writing the Bible, do you think they like that? That's their real response? Don't you care? If I was writing a story about me, I might be tempted a little bit. All the other disciples, except for me, were don't you care? But I knew from the very get-go. But they didn't. They were being honest about their own stories, about their own event. And I love that because I can relate to that.
Yeah.
There are times in my life that I've gone, God, don't you care? Don't you care? That's not a good place to be. The waves are coming in. We're getting knocked down over and over and over again in life. And our response is, God, don't you even care? That's where they found themselves here. See, instead of operating in faith, which is knowing that God is with you, knowing that God can do all things, knowing that God wants to walk life with you, knowing that God said we're going to go from here to there in your life, instead of operating in that faith, trusting, we tend to think He's forgotten us, which is not true. Because He Himself said He would never leave us or forsake us. The Bible tells us that even when we're faithless, He's faithful.
Yes.
That even when we make a mistake, He's quick to forgive. And that His mercy is new every morning. Every morning He sits there and goes, I'm here for you. Yeah, you really screwed up yesterday, but you know what? I'm here for you. Come to me.
Yes.
Let me give you rest.
Amen.
I'm quick to forgive. Come to me. But a lot of times, what do? Once we go, don't you care? Then we're like, oh snap, He's mad at us now. That's not God.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because God's love is great. He's for you, not against you. And when life comes in and the waves crash over us, and we get hit on every side, we may think He doesn't care, but He's there in the boat because He's not afraid.
Amen.
He's not afraid. He knows what He wants for your life. So He's not flipping out even when we are. A lot of times when we act in fear, what happens? We become paralyzed, don't we? It reminds me of a story I was reading where this young boy was caught in a house fire. It was a two-story house, and the dad had run out the bottom. He couldn't get up the stairs to the boy. And the boy knew that his only chance was to go through the window. But the flames were high, and the smoke was billowing, and he could not see the ground. He could hear his dad saying, "Jump, come to me, come to me." And he's like, "Dad, I don't see you. I'm afraid. I can't." And he gets paralyzed because he can't see his dad. He had to take a step of faith. He had to trust that his dad was going to catch him if he jumped. The dad replied back, "You may not see me, but I can see you. Come." And luckily the story is the boy jumped down and he was saved. You see, when our anxiety gets great, we often cannot see God, but the whole time God can see us. Whatever life is coming in, don't be afraid. God's got your back. God's got your back. You know, one thing about the disciples I like is, even though they were afraid, they knew where to go, didn't they? Who did they go to? Jesus. They knew if there was anybody on that boat, he could do it. If there's anybody on that boat, he can do it. If there's anybody in your life that can help turn your life around or help you get from your destination, from here, of where you don't like it, to where you want to be one day, it's Jesus.
Amen.
Only Jesus. And so just like these disciples, you have got to come to Jesus and say, help. Help. Help me. And when he did, this is what he did. They came to him, so he got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? For you still have no faith." The part that jumped out to me, this is cool. He got up, and when he got up, the winds got down. When he got up, the storm subsided. When God moves in your life, no devil in hell can hold you from your destiny.
That's right. Amen.
When God says something into your life, things happen. When Jesus got up, the storm went down.
Amen.
And it was calm. In our life, like I was telling you before, all my addictions, when I really got my life right with God, those addictions left.
Yeah.
And I'm free. When I got my life right with God, I almost lost my wife and kids, but when I got my life right with God, I like that woman now. She's actually okay. And most of the time she tolerates me pretty well too. Yeah, in fact, just a little bit. But I'm serious. When God moves,
Yes.
nothing can stop him. He is the all-powerful one. His word created the heavens and the earth. He said, "Let there be light," and light was. Technically in the Hebrew, it's light be. It is. Light came, traveling 186,000. Or I can't remember. It is. A range 1,000 miles a second.
It's there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's there. When God speaks, powerful things happen.
Amen.
And whenever you have a problem, you call to him. Because he ultimately is the one who can deliver. He's the one who can set free. And that's what I like about the disciples here. They knew that. They knew that the only person that could... I don't know what they thought he was going to do. Because in a second, we're going to see the reaction. Like, holy smoke, it actually works. But they at least went to him. And that's what we need to do in our life. We need to do it. We need to go to him. This verse here, verse 41. After Jesus said, "Where's your faith?" Look at what it says. Go ahead and read that to yourself real quick. They were terrified. They were terrified. And asked each other, "Who is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him." They were terrified. Before they were afraid of the storm. Now they realized they were with someone who was greater than the storm. They were amazed at how even at a word, creation obeyed. You see, these guys grew up with the knowledge that it's only God who can calm storms and who can calm wind.
Amen.
I'm sure their mind went back to the Red Sea, where it says that God blew from his nostrils and parted the sea. That's, I know, right? I sneeze and all I get is a bunch of boogers. I'm sorry, that was bad. I know, right? But here God blows with his nostrils and parts seas. And they're going, wow, this Jesus has control over nature itself. So they were terrified. They were starting to realize that he was more than just a man.
Yes.
but that he was God himself in the flesh. And guys, once we get to that point, our fear will turn from being afraid of circumstances to almost like a holy awe of God. And when we have that holy awe of God, that's when we start living our life victoriously, because we're not afraid of what's going to happen. We know that if God calls us to do something, we're going to do it despite the opposition that may come in our life. So, action steps. You know, I like to get wrapped up with action steps. What are some things we can do as a body of believers, as people who are going to follow Jesus? What are some things? Well, first, get in the boat. If you have not ever decided to follow Jesus, to let him be the Lord of your life, which basically means like the king or the person that kind of calls the shots, you got to get in the boat. You got to get in the boat.
Can't stay on this mission.
If you don't get in the boat, your life will always stay where it's at. How do you get in the boat? Pretty easy. Pretty easy. You come to him. And you just go, Lord, I need your help. I want to follow you. Forgive me for every sin I've ever committed. All that means forgive me for all the bad things I've done. I don't have to tell you what the argument was. But forgive me for that. I put you first place. And then every day you get up, you spend time 5 by 5 by 5.
Yeah.
Just read 5 minutes in the Word. You can't do 5, do 1 minute. Pray for a minute, and sit quietly for a minute. Read for 5 minutes, pray for 5 minutes, sit quietly for 5 minutes, waiting for his response. Every day, 5 days a week. That's how you follow. And then, as you read something here, you start putting it to practice. Become a follower. Second, when you're afraid, don't try to hide it. God knows. Call him.
He does.
He's in the boat with you. He knows you're afraid. Tell him. I did. Yesterday, I really did. After I had the wreck, God, I don't have a clue how I'm going to pay for this. After I got to do my little section, don't you care? But I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. But don't stay there. After you tell him, and you're honest with him, trust him. Trust him. Allow him to bring that same calmness that he operates in into your life. God, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. I don't know how I'm going to take care of all this. But I trust you. And I know that ultimately, you're going to help me get through it. So I put it into your hands. Yes, I'll do my work. I'll pay the bills. But I know ultimately, it's going to come from God.
Yeah.
And you may have to do that like 20 times in a day before it finally takes root. When you finally believe the fact that, okay, God, you really meant this.
Yeah.
You know what? He's okay with that. Yeah. Because you're learning to walk it out. Those are your action steps. Get in the boat, call out in truth, and trust. Can you do it? I'm sure you can. Let's go to God in prayer. Father, you have a plan and a destiny for every single person here. You created every single one of us with talents, with particular giftings, particular environments. And you have great and mighty plans for each and every single one of us. I ask you, Lord, that each one of us would get in the boat, that we would follow you in order that our lives would not remain the same, that we would be able to faithfully follow you. Father, I also pray that when hard times come, when the waves beat against our boat, when the waves feel like they're going to take us under and we die, I pray, God, that we would call out to you in truth. Because, Lord, you're our hero. We know that all things are possible with you. So I ask that you help us to call out. And then, Lord, after we call out to you, I pray that we'd experience your peace, the peace that passes all understanding. And despite the circumstances we walk through, that we can basically sleep because we know that what you say is going to happen. I pray for each person here, Lord, that they'll be able to do this. I ask you to bless them this week. I ask them, Father, that their walk with you would be closer than what it was this past week. Let them feel your love. In Jesus' name. Everybody said?
Amen.
Awesome. Well, next week.